Hello students, today we are going to discuss chapter 15, visualizing solid shapes. Basically there are two types of figures, plane figures and solid figures. Plane figures are flat figure like that of a square. They are two-dimensional figures. Here in these plane figures or two-dimensional figures, they have length and breadth. It can be a rectangle, a circle, a triangle, a square or any quadrilateral. Now what are solid figures? Solid figures are three-dimensional or 3D figures. They have length and breadth like that of plane figures. Also they have height, or we can say there is depth. Example of the solid figures, they are cuboid, cube, etc. Also cylinder, then a sphere, pyramid, cone. All these are examples of solid figures. There are three things in a solid figure. They are the faces, edges and vertices. Now, what are the faces, edges and vertices of a solid figure? The flat surfaces, they are the faces, edges are the line segments and the vertices, they are the corners. See here the figure 15.3 which is shown there. It's that of a cube. So the vertices I told you, they are the corners. So here when you count, there are 8 corners in this cube. So a cube has 8 vertices. And what about the edges? There are 12 line segments. That means the edges. So there are 12 edges in a cube, and also there are 6 faces in a cube. So a cube has 8 vertices, then 12 edges and 6 faces. Is that clear? Now, nets for building 3D shapes. A net is a sort of skeleton outline in 2D, which when folded, it results in a 3D shape. See some of the common nets which is shown. This is a net for making a cube. Now we can see a net for making a cylinder, then net for making a pyramid and net for making a cone. Now the next topic, drawing solids on a flat surface. How can you draw solid on a flat surface? When we draw solid shapes on a flat surface, the images are somewhat distorted to make them appear three-dimensional. So it is a visual illusion. Now see the picture here. This picture gives a clear idea of how a cube looks like. This is how a cube looks like. Such a sketch of a solid, it is called as an oblique sketch. To draw such a sketch, you can use a squared paper. See, that's only used here. A squared paper can be used to draw an oblique sketch. Now, next one, isometric sketches. In isometric sketches, the measurements also agree with those of the given solid. For that, we need an isometric sheet. So here in this figure, that is the isometric sketch of a cuboid having dimension 4 units by 3 units by 3 units. It is shown there. Now, Viewing different sections of a solid. That means how to visualize solid shapes. Sometimes when we look at a combined solid shape, some part of it is hidden. In that case, we have to visualize the solid shape. One way to view an object is by cutting or slicing. So, the one way of viewing a solid shape is by cutting or slicing. Then another way is the shadow play. So, shadows are a good way to illustrate how three-dimensional objects can be viewed in two dimensions. So, the second way is the shadow play. Now, which is the third way? It's by looking at it from certain angles to get different views. These are the three ways of viewing a solid object. I hope it's clear to you. Now we can see the important points that we have discussed in this chapter. The first point what we have discussed is the circle, the square, the rectangle, the quadrilateral and the triangles are examples of plane figures. Then the examples of solid shapes, they are cube, cuboid, the sphere, the cylinder, the cone and the pyramid. Then plane figures are of 2 dimensions and solid shapes they are 3 dimensions. Then the corners of solid shape they are called as vertices. The line segments of its skeleton are its edges and its flat surfaces are its faces. A net is a skeleton outline of a solid that can be folded to make it. The same solid can have several types of nets. Then solid shapes can be drawn on a flat surface like paper realistically. We call this 2D representation of a 3D solid. Two types of sketches of a solid are possible. An oblique sketch does not have proportional length. Still, it conveys all important aspects of the appearance of the solid. So, an oblique sketch, it does not have any proportionate length. Then also, it can convey all the necessary or important aspects of the appearance of the solid. But an isometric sketch, they are kept proportional. In isometric sketch, the measurements are kept proportional. So, it can be drawn on an isometric dot paper. And visualizing solid shape is very useful skill. And different sections of a solid can be viewed in many ways. One way is to view by cutting or slicing the shape that would result in the cross section of the solid. Another way is by observing a 2D shadow of a 3D shape. A third way is to look at the shape from different angles. The front view, the side view and the top view can provide a lot of information about the shape observed. That's what we have learned in this chapter. I hope it's clear to you. Thank you.